This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon. This is February 1st, 2023. This is the meeting of the Southampton Council on Aging Board. Welcome, everybody, and we will call the meeting to order at 4:04. We have a couple guests, and I'm going to ask, excuse me, Cynthia expressed some interest after the volunteer brunch of maybe joining the board. So I always feel that it's important that they see what they're getting in for before they pull that switch. So I invited her to join us today. So welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Camden, welcome. Camden is from Hampshire Regional High School and is looking to do a research project with the senior. So Sylvia is not available at the moment. So Camden, you want to introduce yourself, give us a little, where are you from? And tell us a little about your project that you reached out. This is open time for the public, by the way. So thank you, Camden.
Thank you all for having me, first of all. Was really excited to see that you guys were having a meeting tonight and you were letting me speak. So thank you.
Good timing.
I am from Southampton. I've lived in Southampton my whole life. For the past year in my AP research class that I've been participating in, there's a year-long project, and that's a study of your own design. And the study that I designed was surveying different generations for their ability to identify media bias. So right now I am beginning to survey students at the regional along with teachers. For that, just this morning, the survey was approved by our vice principal to be sent out. So looking forward to sending that out beginning of next week. But
how's it delivered? How's it sent out?
Well, to students, I'm going to go into classrooms and I'm going to give them the survey. But for teachers, I plan to send it out via email. All you need is a link to access the survey. So it's pretty accessible. And
for the seniors, because we go from, up to 100 here. So, in the center, but so it depends on who you're.
Jonathan, I didn't know you were that old. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, not until later this month, Jim.
Oh, okay.
Our birthdays are later this month, right, Jonathan?
The same day.
Yes.
Oh my.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Camden. We get a little off tangent. What would your plan be with the senior center?
Well, my hoping was that at a gathering, you guys, I looked at your calendar a couple of days ago, and you seem to have a few gatherings going on in the next month. I'm not entirely sure what the most popular one is. I figured you guys would probably know that a bit better than I would, but I was hoping to maybe come to one of your larger gatherings and administer the survey to some of the seniors there. It should take about 10 minutes tops. I really don't want to force anybody to do it. I hope willing participants, but to administer it, I could either provide a link for people to be able to access the survey with, which is probably the easiest. I have several devices that were offered by the school in case some people who wanted to participate didn't have a device that they could use to participate, like a mobile phone or something of that sort, iPads that we could let them use for the survey.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a hard copy. It would be electronically, digitally.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
a laptop would be okay.
Yeah, laptop, cell phone, anything that can access the internet would work.
And we do have a couple computers in the senior center, right, Joan? If somebody also didn't have the phone capability.
Yeah, the office ones are really people are bringing in their own tablets and things. So I'm not sure if you might reach out to more people just by doing it electronically, but we'd love to see your face at the center as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to swing down. It isn't that far from my house, so
So John,
Um,
what do you think is the largest gathering of, then that wouldn't be too
So-
disruptive?
It has to, I don't know if it has to be during school time or not school time. So we close at 3 normally.
So what time is good for you, Camden? Can you have the flexibility to come in the middle of the day?
I think I could make that happen. I think I could do that.
Is bingo the most popular one, Joan?
So today we had about a dozen people. So, it has been in the past, but currently maybe the numbers are down a little.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said the Friends meeting, but that's coming right around the corner. So I don't know if it's,
Yeah, and I
Sure.
wouldn't want to, it's kind of their election and stuff. I don't know if.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do it a couple different times, if you want to hit a couple different groups or not, Camden.
I'd be happy with that.
So why don't we get, Joan, if it's possible? You have Camden's email. Have you seen it come through across your?
I believe so. I have to check after the meeting, but
Yeah, and I can get it to you, and maybe either bingo's at 12:30. So even if you got there at like 12:15, because they're pretty serious players, so you don't want to cut into their time unless it's better off at the end than the beginning, Jonah. Maybe you would know better.
Mhm.
Or how popular is line dancing, or
Yeah, so we're talking again, a dozen people maybe. We're also having that function at the library, but that's really Highland Valley is doing that. So I'm not sure. There could be up to 40 people there. But I think if we have it at the center, either line dancing or
bingo.
bingo, we'll
Are
be
they two
fine.
different groups between line dancing and bingo? I mean, if we did
Yes, they're two different
twice,
groups.
maybe then you would hit more seniors and two different, if Camden's available to do that. So maybe after the meeting, maybe tomorrow sometime we can connect
up the
and
time.
see if,
Sure.
see if we can set those two dates up. One, line dancing is 1:00 on Tuesdays, but not next Tuesday, right? Because you have
Right, starting on the
the trip.
14th.
And then bingo is 12:30. So you might want to come a little bit before for the survey. And we want to wait a couple weeks in order to give folks, like next week, you can give them a heads up that that's going to happen at 10 minutes of, or at the very end, or whatever we decide. So whatever
They do
works.
take a break. If it's only 10 minutes, they take a break about 1:30. So,
Okay. So yeah, we'll get together with Camden, Joan, and see what, if you're comfortable doing that. You sounds like a good, what are a couple sample questions, Camden? Do you have?
Sure. Let me pull the survey up. So the first question is just going to ask people their age, just for my analysis.
Yeah.
The survey has several videos and then 2 news articles and 2 magazine covers. And the participants will be asked to rate the media that they've seen as unbiased, moderately biased, or extremely biased. If you'd like, I could share my screen and show you, or
Yeah, go ahead. That would be great.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Rini. By the way, Rini has joined us, right?
Hi, how are you? Thank
It is
you.
right?
can you see it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'd be happy to send you all a link too after the meeting if you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure most of the people, I can't speak for them, but on this group that on the board would be happy to also take it. We don't have to take it all at once, right? We could just take it and.
No, you can take it anytime you'd
Okay.
like.
Yeah, why don't you send us either, you can send, in case you don't have Joan's email address, send me the link and then I'll send it out to the board. And
Okay.
Okay,
everybody.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll capture a few immediates and then we can send it to the Friends board too, maybe. So, okay.
Would you like me to play the videos?
No, I don't think we're going to have enough time, Camden,
No.
to do that.
Okay.
so,
Well,
Okay.
this is just
So
one
that's-
clip. This is an article.
So is it all political based here?
Yeah, it is. I figured, yeah.
Okay, I just, it's your project. I just wanted to set proper expectations, so.
I tried to get as many sources from both sides of the aisle and then some down the middle,
Mhm.
and spread them out evenly through the survey.
Okay,
So 10 or 10 questions in total, and then there are 3 optional at the end that that ask you your city and town where you reside, because we're doing this in a few different places, and I was just wondering if there were any patterns there. Your political affiliation, that's completely optional though. And then if you pay attention, close attention to current events.
okay, yeah.
I can, do you want me to post it in the chat as well, or just in the?
Why don't you send me the link on an
Okay.
email, and then I'll forward it out. It'd be probably easier for me if you don't mind. Okay, you want to stop sharing, Camden?
Yes.
And I apologize. Sylvia sent me a text message apologizing for having to be late today. So,
It's a very interesting survey. I'd be interested in knowing the results when you get them.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share them with the board if you'd like. I'd be happy to
that'd be
print out a
great.
copy of my final report.
perfect. Jonathan.
So Camden, let me just clarify. So this is not about bias towards seniors. It's about bias
No, just biased.
and then you're sequencing, you're separating it out by age group.
Yes, I'm just looking for patterns to see if age is a factor.
Okay, great, good. Any other questions?
I
And
want to
again,
assure you, age is very much a factor.
Yeah, but that's life history and that's life
Oh,
experience.
I'm
That's,
sorry.
you know,
Okay.
it's-
No, but
the
I
age
think
just
it's
happens to come with it.
an exciting project,
Yeah, this
Tamara.
sounds great.
I congratulate you on that, and happily
you.
going to participate.
So if
Thank
you
you.
have like an opening, do you have, when you send it out electronically, do you have like a introductory paragraph that I can put in the body of the email so people know what I'm sending them?
Yeah,
Because I can expand it beyond to seniors beyond this core group if you'd like.
yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you could do that. My goal is to get as many responses as possible, but when it's sent out over email, it is a Google form. All you need to have is the link to access it, and
Okay.
you'll be able to answer questions. But I believe there is a opening statement of some kind. There's an opening statement
In the link.
in the link.
Okay, okay, good.
I would say now, having heard this or seen this, I'm not sure that doing it during bingo or before bingo, because it's electronic, I'm not sure that it's going to work for that particular group. And we may just want to do it through email, but anyway, we can talk about that tomorrow or whenever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure this group has a number of kind of group list of people 60 and over that they might be able to share it with.
Mhm.
We'll just encourage people to only do it once. Can you do it twice if somebody gets it from 2 different people, or is there a way to block it out? Like, I already know that email, or I already know that.
I don't want to have to collect people's email addresses because I
Yeah.
don't want to be able to trace their answers back to them. So you can submit it as many times as possible, but
Okay. We're all too busy to do it more than once. I guarantee you that. So,
I think the pickleball group would love this.
Yeah. They could do it while playing, actually.
The good ones.
yes. Okay, great. Camden, anything else? I won't hold you up any longer. We really appreciate you coming to Open Time, and thank you.
No.
for
Best of luck to you.
thank
And
you
yeah,
so
good
much.
luck.
Thank you all for having me.
Let us know what the
thank you.
results are in, and if we can get you on the March meeting or the April meeting, we'll have you back to share with us your results.
All right. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Approval, moving right along. Thank you. That was great. Thank you, everybody. Its timing was perfect. He reached out, as you know, like within the last 2 days. So thank you for putting him in open time for the public. So there are the January minutes. Anybody, Jonathan, you're still taking minutes today, right?
Yes.
Okay, just to make sure. And then I know Jim has offered, once you depart, to pick it up to the end of his term this year. So
After I turn 100.
yes, you'll be 100, I'll be 96. So that's all good. So anyway, any thoughts on the minutes? I just have one thing I'd like to add during the, I guess, the open time period where someone mentioned something about transparency. I would like to say that add something along, but there were no examples given regarding this concern. Okay, it was just kind of a broad statement, no examples or factual. I don't know the best way to say it because I wasn't there, but in reading it, I know that and talking to Joan that there wasn't any examples given. It was just kind of an open-ended statement. So I think we just need to, I'd like to be able to say that no examples were shared at that time or something. Does anybody have any thoughts that were there? So.
Well, to me, it's just a matter of, I mean, this is a public document, which is part of the reason you want it in. But on the other hand, that also means we got to come up with the right phrasing for that. So that doesn't sound editorial. Is my only concern. I don't want it to seem. So, I mean, one thing to do is just to say she's stated that, or she also had questions about transparency or wondered whether there was sufficient transparency. I
do
don't know.
recall that Sylvia did ask for some details or some examples. So maybe we could just add that Sylvia did ask for details, but none was given. I mean, that was part of the meeting.
And that's not editorial, right? Right.
Yeah. No,
Does that make sense, Jonathan?
So what are people comfortable then with that? Just that she also leave it that she was concerned about transparency or question whether there was sufficient transparency. But she also said that she was concerned about transparency, but did not wish to elaborate at this time.
Or did not elaborate. How's that?
No, I mean, if Sylvia.
Well, she was asked. Sylvia, as Joan said, Sylvia asked her and she said, I don't know whether it's about that or something else, but I don't wish to elaborate at this time. All of us, look, all of us know that when this occurred, Nilda was kind of hurrying, saying what she wanted to say and didn't want to. It was very confusing to all of us. And I, in fact, went back and listened to that section for the first time since, I just wanted to make sure I understood what she actually did say. She also said that she was concerned about transparency, but did not, I would just say did not wish to elaborate at that time, or it would put it in.
If Sylvia asked for examples, then I would add that in between those two things then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say she did not wish to elaborate because we don't know the workings of her mind.
But she said, I thought she said that though, Jim. That's.
Oh, did she?
That she didn't want to elaborate. Yeah.
So I didn't hear that. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I wasn't at that meeting. Who was it that was asking for more transparency?
Well,
we had a guest. It was Nilda Cohen, and we had a couple guests that day, but Nilda Cohen was the speaker at the time.
Okay.
So I just want to, if Sylvia asked for more information and Nilda did not wish to share at that time, I think both parts of that should be included then. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, and typically when we have someone from the public, there's a whole open time for the public introduction of what open time is all about. it wasn't necessary to say that with Camden because we kind of knew what he was here to talk about and we had that email from him. But in the future, if that occurs, I will read that section prior to, open time. So. Okay, anything else on that? Or do we have a motion, please, to approve as amended?
I would move to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay.
I'll
so
second.
It's a tie between Josie and Susan. Take your pick.
Yeah.
Jonathan. All in favor, let me go through roll call. Josie,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Jonathan,
Aye.
Janet, aye. Okay, great. Thanks, Jonathan. And I do want to also, I know Sylvia's not here and it's going to be a little bit before she gets here, but I want to go on record and thank Sylvia and Joan for kind of stepping in at the last minute in the January meeting to run the meeting in my absence. And it just goes to show we're all replaceable. So thank you. Thank you for,
To a point, not completely, to a point.
for taking that on. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be back today for sure. So, okay. All right, let me just take a quick look. And I apologize if I sent the wrong document early. I'm renaming them so that I don't pick up the wrong one. So just kind of year to date for as of Monday, basically for this meeting, where we are with our expenditures. So let me get this back. So out of I'm just going to hide these so I can get that out. My apologies. Where is my hide? Is my hide here somewhere?
Yeah, we went over. There it is.
Okay. So out of, so the remaining balance and what's been spent so far. Oh, that's not right, Joan.
That's not right.
What did I do?
I don't know.
Okay, so do you have that number, Joan? I know we were within the guidelines. I don't know. Am I
We're
missing?
gonna have to take it
I
out of your
printed that
hide.
sheet, but it doesn't, let's see.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's move down to the wages here. So the COA wages, which is 70% of the program coordinator's salary. So Joan and I talked the other day. It appears that we're taking a little bit too much out of the town general fund on this wage line. So we're going to have to switch. We probably should be taking 8 hours. I think we've been taking 9 to 9.5 hours out of the 13 to 14 hours, depending on which week it is. So we're going to have to start reducing that, right, from a monthly payroll,
Yes.
Joan,
Yes.
so we can make sure we stay within the budget. And then expenses are pretty light in this. For this, we use so much on the state formula grant. I'm going to correct this right now, I think. Hold on. Now. Bear with me, sorry.
I'm trying to determine where did the 4536 come from? How did you reach that?
Just hold on 1 second, Jim. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, wait, okay, I think maybe.
Okay. What was your question, Jim?
The 4536, how is that computed? Is it
Okay. It's
the
computed
three?
by, I get a report from Bradley
Uh-huh.
for this meeting, and that's what he's recorded as what we've expended so far.
Oh, and we should have expended 3888.
No, this is what it was. This is what we spent as of January 4th.
Right.
Okay. This is what we spent as of February 1st. Okay, and this is the budget. 7549 is the budget.
Okay.
This is what we spent year to date.
And that's the
as of
balance.
the end
Yeah.
of January. Yes, and this is the remaining balance.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I didn't understand. So yeah, I just missed the zero there, Joan. Sorry. So everything else is tracking. The wages for the program coordinator just have to be amended so we don't run over budget at the end of the year. So the Memory Cafe, Joan, I sent Bradley a couple messages because he had some dollar amount like 1609 or something, and I don't know where that came from. And he's gotten back to me, and I still don't understand where the numbers come from. So maybe you and I are going to have to sit down with
So
him.
it's the revenue when we put in the billing, that's the revenue number.
We've collected 1609.
That's my understanding, but we can go over it again if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, I mean, last month it was 312.
Right, but they hadn't given us 2 months worth, and it was, yeah, that does sound high, so.
Okay, so we'll just get that confirmed, but so out of the 3990, we've been reimbursed about $1,609.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. We'll clarify that for next month. State formula grant. So out of the 24, we've spent year to date 97,2770. So we have a remaining balance for the rest of the year of 14,284. Okay. And then the Fritivan, again, this is, to me, is not always cover 100% because they have charges, administrative charges that get added into this. If there's repairs on the van, if there's gas. So, I mean, this is just what we're able to track until we get the quarterly report from Franklin Regional, then we can update that. But we're usually like a quarter behind from what we receive from them. Right, Josie?
Right.
Okay. And then the ARPA funds, we're still working on how we're going to spend those. So again, this is just a reduced kind of, this is the budget. This is the year-to-date for this meeting, and this is the remaining balance. Does that make sense, Jim? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So again, rather than trying to track every individual warrant and payroll, and we're working with Bradley and the reports that he generates, so we're in sync with what he hands to us. So it's not a treasurer's report like we used to do where we were tracking separately. So I don't know that we need a motion to approve this. This is what I've taken from Bradley. So he's our accountant. I trust him. So,
Oh, good.
all right.
Oh, nice.
Nice. All right. Okay, director's report. Do you want to start with the budget, Joan, or do you want to go through your director's report first?
Let's go through the director's report first.
Okay.
I think, it's important to see what's happening currently. The budget's very important too, but currently we, have a few things going on. So transportation continues to be our biggest service for the seniors. And just this week, we've had to curtail our transportation to 3 days a week due to the lack of a driver. So starting next week, we will have no transportation on Wednesdays and Fridays. So there were scheduled trips, and we're finding rides for those folks that already had appointments. But due to the well-being of our one left driver, we needed to do this. And he is a much happier man today than he was yesterday. So
Days are Tuesday and Thursdays now, Joan?
So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, he will drive.
Okay.
He's made some allowances. Jim knows him, and he knows that he does a reading radio thing on Monday morning. So he's asked us not to schedule before 9:30. So
Okay.
we've done that. We're trying, to work with him. He worked for 4 weeks and did a full schedule. It's not what he signed up for, and it was taking a toll. So I'm glad that he said, I just can no longer do it. And so we'll make arrangements until we can hire somebody for those other days.
So we have a job posted. It's on the town website, Joan?
It's on the town website. Obviously, it's in the center. It's in the hallway where the postings are. I sent it to RSVP and to MCOA, and they said they would post it with a ASAP, and because it's important. It took a while. As you know, PPPB only meets once a month. So all the timing, it happened over the holidays, the end of the year, beginning of January. So I think the posting didn't even hit PPPB till about the 11th. And here it is the 1st of February. So the posting only has been up for maybe less than a week.
Okay. And I didn't see it on MCOA on Monday when I looked at their newsletter.
So yeah, I'm not sure how long it takes them to put it in the newsletter. So
Mhm.
maybe the newsletter is done a week or two. Like us, it has to be done several weeks in advance.
Right.
So
Well, this is the online one. I don't think that, so there's no printing involved. I'm sure it's pretty up to date. It'll probably be on the next one, I would guess.
how often does that come out? Once a month or
I think it's weekly.
weekly? Okay, I can check on that tomorrow. Anyway, that's the most pressing thing that's been happening. Other than that, Cynthia's here. She's, working on our new stretch and tone. We canceled because of the weather, and then the weather didn't happen, but we don't predict the weather. So it should be tomorrow morning at 9. If anybody's interested and has the time, please come down and try it out. And then the 6-week Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet is going to be at the library. So I talked to Johanna, and she was gracious enough and Shakespeare's her background as well. So she's excited about it.
Good.
And she's working it into Shakespeare's birthday, which is in April. So anyway, the library, we're hoping to do some things with the library. She took it upon herself to do an aging option thing it's on the front of the newsletter. It's on February 21st, which is a Tuesday at 4:00. And it's in their conference room. And she says they can fit 40 people. So I didn't think the conference room was that big. But anyway, I don't think they'll get 40 people.
Well, hopefully you get 20.
Well, that would be good. But anyway,
And that's
that
on
was really
Highland Valley.
nice of her to set that up for the seniors that don't want to come into the senior center, but they feel okay going to the library. So
do they have to pre-register, or is it?
she did not have this one pre-registered. She
Okay.
feels there isn't a need. Of course, we did put it out on the front page of our newsletter. So maybe as people start calling, I think Kate and I will be attending for sure.
Okay.
Sounds very good.
Yeah, sounds interesting. Yeah. Aging options, but we're afraid to ask.
And I think it's for other ages. It's for the middle, the sandwich generation too, the ones that are taking care of elders or their seniors, family members.
Great. Okay, and Joan, you have a new phone system,
Oh,
which we're going through some growing pains. So the town hall is fortunate to get a new phone system because we've been pretty antiquated, but there are some growing and learning pains. And so today you couldn't call the senior center, but hopefully by tomorrow you can. So we'll see. Hopefully that works out okay. Right?
yeah. Sometimes I feel we're taking 3 steps forward and 5 steps back, but it'll work out eventually. I'm sure they'll work out the hiccups.
Growing pains on it. So it'll be definitely a better. I mean, if I probably the town clerk gets most of the calls and she's not able to transfer them to another office on the old system. So now she can actually, and so she'd have to take a note and run down there or give the person a number and ask them to call back. So this will definitely bring us up to the 21st century. So she'll be able to transfer calls to the right office. I think things like that are most critical. So Joan's calls normally come for Joan or someone in the COA, but there are some good advantages to the new system for the town overall.
I'm sure.
Trust me, I said. Okay, so, and then everybody look at Sandy's. Sandy's been very busy. Kate, thank you for joining us, Kate. I appreciate your smiling face on these calls. And again, your very detailed report, and thank you for providing this to us as well. Anybody have any questions? I know you get it in advance. So is there any questions on that, Jonathan?
Yeah, I've got three. One is on the aging options seminar. Is that being put on by Highland Valley?
Well, the library is hosting it, and yes, a speaker from the Highland Valley. I'm not sure who the speaker is, but
But
yes,
they're coordinating the substance.
that's correct.
Um,
And EPL, I don't know what EPL is.
Edwards Public Library.
Oh, okay. Yes, the library and Highland Valley. These acronyms, they're everywhere.
I know.
yeah, I have problems with that too, Joan.
I just happen to know that one, Joan. So you made me look smart. Thank you. Okay, and you said you had more than
Yeah,
one?
a couple more. So on the van drivers, I'm confused. So the van driver working now, is he a fill-in or is he, how many van drivers do we try to have? 2 or 3 on staff?
Three would be ideal. We've
But
been
we
running
think-
with 2 for over a year.
Okay, and it was
but-
now. Go ahead.
The one that was working 3 days a week left. And so the two day a week van driver was doing 5 days a week, which got to be overwhelming.
Okay, so
Not what we hired him to do, nor do our benefits support that.
so the idea is that he will stay on and work 3 days a week.
For now, he'd rather go back to his Tuesday, Thursday, his 2 days, but he will fill in on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday right now.
Okay,
So the person we're hiring is for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, correct?
That's the hope,
That's
yes.
the hope.
so we've posted for 1.
2. So I don't know if we need separate postings, but
I'm confused.
we're
So-
looking to hire 2 drivers. The posting, I'm not sure what it says, driver or drivers, but we're hoping to hire 2.
And in addition to the one that we have now,
Correct.
so we would then
One of
have
the-
3.
Well, one of the 2 people we're seeking though would be a fill-in, right? Who would
That's
come in
Like a
in
backup.
case, a backup in case of an emergency or something. Is that
So-
correct? Yeah.
That's correct.
And
Unless we worked it out that one could do 2 days and one could do 1 day. We only have 1 van. So they have to share the hours, so.
so
But
can only.
they're not supposed to
by
work
one
over
driver.
20 hours. So.
Okay,
So if you
and
know of
then,
anybody, let us know if you know of anybody.
okay, and were you going to cover the memory cafes separately, or is now the time for me to ask a question about it?
That's on the list further down. Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. I know that was on her report. So if you want to have a question on the memory cafe, go ahead. It was.
Well, no, if we're going to have it, might as well discuss it all together if that's
Okay.
coming up.
Well, I mean, we've kind of, with Joan's report, it covers the memory cafe and the van driver's salary and posting. So why don't we talk about the memory cafe now as I'm looking at the agenda, Jonathan?
So my question about what's in the report, Joan, just for clarification, you said 10 people attended, and who are the 10 people in category? Are they all
How many caregivers and how
the
many?
people-
They're all seniors. There is nobody that's in the caregiver, caretaker, care needer, with the care recipient category. So,
And-
so we will not get full funding for last month.
and how many of those 10 people then are people with memory care issues?
Not one. Well,
Okay.
unless they have senior moments, but that, I mean, we have not, we've not labeled any of them as people who have a companion that are, that are in need of the memory cafe, not one of
Okay.
them.
So then it seems as if this month that we had no one I remember the grant that we got and the report that was written that they sent with suggestions, evaluating the first, 8 months or so of our grant last year and making suggestions of what we needed to do and what could be done and how best to do it. That there were 2 types of people that we were really supposed to be reaching out for. And one was those with the memory care issues and the other was caregivers, I thought. So,
That's true.
all right. So it looks like we had neither of those groups at this
this
It's a
particular one,
session.
but we had 40 people in December, and of those 40, we had 10 that were care recipients, and they're caretakers. So there was 5 caretakers. So it's different month to month. I did reach out to the group that usually comes. They couldn't come. They had a new attendee, and they were concerned about leaving the building or being on the road with this new attendee. So
Joan,
I can only
give us some
offer this.
updates? And because I know Sandy's worked on the flyers and stuff, so can you give the group an update on what steps have been taken to try to reach out to more folks? Because I know you've done some, right?
Yeah, we've had people reach out to us. We've sent them flyers. We've sent them to other council on agings. We've sent them to MCOA. So we've tried, and like I said, it's week to week. I maybe made the comment last month, people from town don't feel comfortable coming to their own center if they have issues. So we have a couple that I know would be perfect. I have several couples that are perfect at the Memory Cafe. One chooses to go to Huntington because they feel it's a bigger room. Maybe it's not as intimidating. Maybe they have more to offer. I didn't go to the one in Huntington. I know Flo Collins did. So they don't choose to go to the one in their own town. We had a survey from all other centers. There's only about 4 or 5 memory cafes out of the 20 or 30, council on agings in Western Mass. There's only 4 or 5, and we're one of them. So on a good month, we will have 6 to 8 people. On another month, maybe it was January, maybe it was the music. The music changed at the last minute. I still don't know what the avenue or the tool will be to get folks to come consistently, come back every month.
Hey, Joan, this is Rainey. I was just wondering if a notice went out to the people. Highland Valley said they'd send out notices to the people that get home delivered meals from Southampton.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if a notice went out. They won't tell you who the people are, but they'll be able to put out a notice. Do you know if that happened?
I know that somebody from Highland Valley did contact us and ask for a flyer. And Kate would have to let me know. I think she handled that. Was that somebody from the meal program or?
It was the Highland Valley. It was one of the coordinators there. I don't have access to my email from home, but it was one of the coordinators, and they reached out asking when it was, how the registration process worked. So there is interest. I will say that. Okay. So
you should probably check back with Highland Valley and just specifically ask, has this flyer gone out to the people from Southampton at home delivered meals? And if not, can you send that out to them? Because that was something they're willing to do. And South Hadley did that whenever they have a notice. And it seems like it's a good population to actually access with that information. And just a reminder, I still have in my email address the woman from the gerontology program at Cooley Dickinson, the dementia program. She's willing to come and be part of a memory cafe. So just remember that in terms of the future. If you want to, work on planning something for the future that has a speaker that has an expertise in dementia, then I'm happy to help you with that. Okay.
That'd be great. I did send it out with the super mailing, the emails. We send over 300. So it went out with the newsletter and the flyer for the memory cafe. So everyone should have got it. At the COA board should have all gotten that flyer, or it's the February flyer.
So is it possible in March then maybe to see if this woman can come to the March? Do you have anybody scheduled for the Memory Cafe in March, Joan?
Yes, but I mean, we can have it's 2 hours. So we could have somebody come and talk for 20 minutes to a half an hour and have music for half an hour or whatever. I mean,
because that may bring the caregivers in as they see something that might benefit.
So Rini, maybe we could look at the March date. I think it's the 19th or
maybe
the same.
16th?
Maybe it's the same date. It's the 16th. I
yeah.
think it's the same days in February and March.
Yes. Yep. I'm looking at February, but I know the same date. then this is in March. So, yep.
Yeah, if I can get a name and a contact, I'd be glad to reach out.
So just a couple of things. First of all, I don't know, probably last week I got the Council of Aging, but I thought it was for, I don't know. I didn't get that flyer though in it. It was just the regular bulletin.
So you didn't get two attachments.
No.
And maybe
And-
maybe it's just people. I'm just wondering if we got it and not everybody opens the, I think if you put the attachment open in in the body of the email and send it separately, then they don't have to go down and open something to take a look at it. And I know I'll go buy things if I have to stop and open something else. I'll get back to that later, and then I don't get back to it. So I don't
for the newsletter as well,
no,
or
I'm just talking about the flyer.
just the flyer, put it
Yeah.
in the body of the letter.
Yeah, because Kate probably knows how to do that.
Oh, I probably could figure it out too. But
So,
thank you.
There was no extra.
Two attachments. In my mind, I sent two attachments. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was for something else. Maybe it wasn't
The
the flyer.
paper one, the one you get in the mail?
No, not
Right.
the paper one. It wasn't in the paper one, was it?
It wasn't in the paper one.
No.
It was on the email one that we send out by email.
Oh, okay, well,
But that's a good idea. If we made 100 flyers and put them in with the newsletter and then sent it out. Do you get it at your house? Is that?
yeah,
Uh,
I did.
okay.
And I won't, I don't know if it came in an email. I didn't see it, but anyway.
Yeah.
The
I'm
other
not-
question I have is, are you getting any activity from Punch Out Parkinson's group?
So again, we had the same problem that it's a conflicting time. We talked about changing the time and I hadn't changed the time. So their Punch Out Parkinson group is at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And I invited them over and she said, no, there's too much equipment. They can't come.
Yeah. Okay. If it was a separate time, maybe, but anyway.
Unless I do it on a Friday.
That might work. They don't do it on Friday. But, I don't know what her schedule is. This is the new person.
And we're not open on Fridays, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we talked about being open more.
Okay.
Susan?
Just on the Parkinson's people, I think they're there. And I've forgotten her name at the moment. Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting at 10 o'clock, from 10 to 11.
So that's the Memory Cafe is from 10 to 12.
Okay.
So that's.
We did lose a couple to that.
So, a couple thoughts. Jonathan? Are you?
Yeah, I'd just like to return to something that Joan said before, which I found of interest, and I know, Joan, you said it before, and I just that's about people people are not comfortable going to, if they've got memory care issues or there's memory care issues with their partner, they'd rather not be seen at the senior at a memory cafe in their town. They might feel comfortable elsewhere. I don't know. Have we gotten any clarification on that as to what the experience is with other senior centers and how that situation is handled? Because I know that the grant doesn't exclude our having people from other towns, but we wanted it, I thought, the grant, in order to service our own population. And I have no problem with whoever comes from anywhere. We're performing a service. But if I just wonder what Highland Valley's experience is with this and the experience with other centers as far as their own residents taking do they take advantage of it, or would they rather not be seen
We
at
have
a
two
memory
things.
cafe?
We have just a one room. People walk in, I mean, it's not like we have a private area or, a separate area. It's just one big room. So if you're coming to the center, it's for that activity. We coincidentally had a conversation, emails about the different memory cafes in the area. Did we have one? How was the attendance? South Hadley was mentioned on it. Their attendance has dropped since the pandemic, and across the board, since the pandemic, if you had a memory cafe, any activities, attendance has dropped. And then we've had these series of spikes in COVID where attendance would be up and down. So, I don't know how fair it is to say, well, we only had 10 people. I think it was 12 too. I think I made a mistake on that one. There were 12, but depending on the rise and fall of COVID, we've had less people coming and going. So, I mean, I think part of it has to do with the activity that's happening. I think the speaker might help. We have somebody with professional, but
So Joan, I just want to address one thing Jonathan said. So the grant is actually not specific to Southampton, but multi-community. The reason we got the grant was because we were going to open our doors to multiple communities, not just Southampton. And that's kind of what they encourage grant recipients to offer. So we would love to include Southampton people, but it's not. Our goal wasn't just focused on Southampton based on the language of the grant.
And Westhampton did reach out to me recently to see if I would or someone would come to their council and talk to them about the memory cafe. So, that may be in my near future is to head out to Westhampton and see if we can get a few people from there.
Yeah, that would be great.
Can I say something? As
yes,
former caregiver of a Parkinson's patient, and I do know Leah, who does the cafe, she used to be doing Dopafit. I had one friend from that who did bring her husband, and she raved about it. And the music is terribly important because they have found that Parkinson's patients actually walk better and do all sorts of things better when there is music. So she loved it. Reality is that one never knows that it's day by day with Parkinson's. And so the same caregiver who's dealing with just memory is also dealing with all sorts of bodily function. I don't know whether it would be helpful to lay it right out about bathroom arrangements.
Okay.
That is a huge issue.
And we only have one, but you're right. I've noticed that
just say that, in terms of putting out information on it, that there would be assistance if people needed it to the bathroom. Those are the fears that come out really when you're dealing with that kind of an illness. That disease is multilateral of problems. So, but as I say, she loved it with her, and I think she's coming again, but she's in Easthampton, or they are in Easthampton. I know, because I'm still on a group by Zoom, that there's some in Westfield, two couples, I should say, that transportation is also difficult because you hear on the transfer wheelchairs, etc. And that is difficult on an icy day, for example. You're going to lug this wheelchair, fold it up, put it in the car, manage, the person you're taking with and all of that stuff. So having been somebody when I was upstate New York, we had a van that the community bought. And I know my husband at the time drove. I was a person who helped. I was the assistant. I helped with the wheelchairs. So these are things that I think need to be talked about for the center as a whole. Access depends sometimes on help. And so for the memory camp, you're going to have people who are very needy, perhaps, who would need assistance, that we can come to your car and help you get the person in. That little thing like that is a huge thing when you're dealing with someone. And a lot of these people are women who are dealing with large men, okay? And that makes a big difference. I mean, I had one who is 6'1" and I'm 5 feet. And I just throwing that kind of stuff out.
Thank you, Cynthia, for your input, because I think the reality is what you're saying is that day to day, you don't know if you're going to be able to bring them. I mean, plan to go, but anything else could happen. But I think some of these memory cafes are in like assisted living, etc.
Yeah.
So that they have more care and things. So anyway, I think we're doing a valiant job trying to get it going. I think, maybe it's not for Southampton, but we should finish out the grant anyway.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks for all the questions and all the feedback. And I was going to say, if we change the date, we want to leave it on a Thursday or Tuesday while we have a van.
Well, we have a van driver.
Yeah.
We don't want to change. We don't want to complicate it even more. So, okay. Joan and I just want to share what we submitted for the next year's budget. Also, I don't know, Joan, if you want to share the letter that you submitted. Do you want to you don't have to read it, but I mean, just that you did submit a letter.
So, and I, in fact, I guess the select board talked about it last night because I had the accountant congratulate me today. So, yesterday I did share with Ed Gibson that I officially put in my retirement for June 29th. And, as any chapter of any book, it's always an exciting time for those of us who are getting to retire and enjoy it. But I know it's a kind of unstable time when you're trying to get other people in place to carry on the duties that I've been doing for the last 5.5 years. So I know I'll work with you as best I can, but I turned 65, so I'm ready for Medicare and I'm ready for time with my grandchildren and my family.
She's a kid. So, Joan, and we'll have plenty of time to thank you for, Joan and I sort of took this journey together, right? I joined the board in May and Joan started in September, and a lot of those months were recruiting. And we were give get somebody with Joan's knowledge and talent at that moment. And so we'll have plenty.
I remember it well.
Give accolades, yes, at that point in time. So,
but I got 5 months. I just had to get it official so they could start the search.
The process.
I was going to wait till March or April, but they said get it in now. So, and I don't want to upscale the fire chief because he's leaving, I think, around the same time.
Yeah, his letter states the same date. I just want to welcome Sylvia. Nice of you to join us, Sylvia. Just because I didn't show up last month, you decided to show up late this month. I get it. So
I'm sorry. My apologies to everybody that I was driving like a maniac. Actually, Gary was driving like a maniac, man.
That's all right. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry.
And congratulations on your new committee assignments.
That's what happens when you're late. Yeah,
that was earlier. That was earlier in the agenda. So sorry about that. Okay, so that said on Joan, I just want to share with you our wish list, because when we get a budget request, the budget request is same as last year, level funding, or your wish list if we have extra money somewhere that we find. So our top priority based on Joan's departure is to expand the senior center for maybe up to 32 hours. We don't know that's going to be the magic number or not, but 32 hours a week. And to take it up one step in her grade, which the next step would be 2712. And so that would be for a total of 45,301. So let me just scroll down here real quick and show you that right now, if we are level funded, the payroll for 26 hours of, well, it's a salary. It's not 26 hours, right, Joan? But that was based on the salary was based on 26 hours is 35,603. So our wish list is to increase that from 26 to approximately 32 hours a week. Pretty much matching all the other departments in town, and also have a couple hours each week to possibly do an evening or a later event in the day. Plus Joan's time or the director's time to spend 2 lovely hours with us once a month on a Wednesday. So that's kind of a comparison of where we were last year and what we're asking for this year. So that said, we also did some comparisons. So Ed, our town administrator, Ed Gibson, gave us some communities of similar population to see if we could get some information on what they currently, their hours are and their salaries are. So that's the spreadsheet here. So if you look at all these communities that he gave us, so a lot of them are open 40 hours, Camden's 35, and we're 26. And if you look at our number of seniors compared to the other 4 communities, we have more seniors.
Wow.
If you look at the salaries for the directors and you break it down per hour, because again, 40 hours in Deerfield is $62,000. So 40 hours in Granby is somewhere between 45 and 65 because they're recruiting at this point in time. So, and again, 40 hours in Hadley, $55,000. So if we went to, the 40 hours, or the 32 hours, we would be at 45,000 and change. So we're still, because we're not open as long, in our rate, if you look at Hamden, $41 an hour. The other ones are kind of in our ballpark because we're looking to spend approximately 2712, depending on how much experience. So there's a grade, there's steps in the grade. So it depends on how much experience people have. So trying to budget for next year, not knowing who will be filling Joan's shoes. We do hope that we are open at least the same number of hours as the rest of town hall. And we are asking for maybe a couple more hours per week as well. Because the van does run on Fridays and sometimes there's a requirement for someone to be on call. And right now that's not a covered pay time, but we have the mechanisms in place to address those situations. Joan is also asking for an administrative assistant. Excuse me. Joan, because I know the question is, well, we had a program director that replaced the administrative assistant position. So can you speak to the difference?
The administrative assistant position was in place when I was hired. So we had, Darlene was hired just a little bit after I was. And even though it's a small office and a small staff, and we all overlap, we all do answering phones and scheduling the van, it would be great to have somebody a few hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week, that would just be the administrative assistant, so that things like budget, things like payroll, things like that the director has to do, the reports, etc., can be left to that. And when you're starting positions and you don't have anybody answering phones, which we didn't have for a long time, maybe these new phone systems will be part of the answer. I don't know. And we do have volunteers. Kate's working hard to get some volunteers that'll work in that position. But I really think that administrative assistant position is so important. It just makes everything else flow better, because we're not getting distracted and having to do the clerical things because, not that we don't mind doing them. I love to wear many hats. It's just there's only so much time and hours in a day. And if we can get some extra help to do the clerical, then, that would make the director that much, doing what they're paid for.
And maybe the ability to look for grant monies and things like that, that you don't really have time to do that at this point as well.
So that would be my hope to put back in place. It was there before the administrative assistant. I was hoping that they put it back in.
So the program coordinator, the salary would basically remain the same, plus the cost of living increase that the select board will determine during the budget process. So that's not included in here. And the volunteer coordinator, also same amount of hours, same hourly rate, plus whatever the select board determines to be the cost of living increase. So this is what kind of a summary of what was submitted along with our budget for our wish list. So I sent this out to everybody, right? I did get this one correct? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments or thoughts or ways to help justify or?
I think it's very impressive.
I do too. It's a very good report.
Yeah. Thank you, Janet.
The two brains here, right, Joan and Sylvia? So, okay. So I just wanted you to certainly be aware of what's going to be going in front of the select board and the finance committee. Probably starting soon, Rini. Are you there?
Yes, I am. I just had to unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all the departments are going to be having meetings with the select board and finance committee. I don't have the timetable right now.
Okay. And Joan, when is your presentation to the select board? Did you get a chance to look that date up?
So I did not. As I recall, it's whatever the first Tuesday in March is, and if they meet on the 7th, that'll be the date.
Okay, and then the annual report is due
On the 1st.
On the 1st. So if you work on that and you need a couple of eyes to take a look at it, we'll help.
I did start working on it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Good. Anything else on the budget? I just want to make sure everyone is aware. Okay, let me see. So the next on my agenda from new and old business on the agenda that I sent up are volunteers for the clerk and the Friends liaison once Jonathan departs. So Jim had offered to, yes, go ahead.
I forgot to talk about the driver's salary. I don't know if that should be brought up here. It was on the agenda, but I didn't talk about it.
You can mention it. Okay.
So, I had a conversation with the current driver, and we had a discussion about his rate of pay, which is $15.61 an hour. And, he felt it wasn't fair for what he was having to do, especially now that he was filling in 5 days a week, but that he could go to any department store and get $17, $18 an hour, or the staff that are working in the office are making more than he is, and he's out on the road in dangerous situations and with a lot of responsibility. So we did reach out to FRTA and to local places to see what the drivers were making. So his range is low. It's it goes anywhere from $15.50 to $18 an hour. So I put in for a raise through
Huntington, for example, pays $18 an hour, right?
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I don't know, the hill towns might be different. They don't work as many hours or whatever. But anyway, I felt it was only fair to raise him up to $17 an hour. So I did put in a request, PCF, a personal change form, so that he could get a raise. It was going to PPPB first. And they said, long as it was in his grade, which it was, they would consider it, but it has to go by the select board as well. I know midterm raises are not usually, they're kind of frowned upon, but it's it's out of a grant. It's not out of the, the regular, town, budget. So I really think, he deserves it. And I'm afraid we'll lose him too as well. So, and I was hoping to make it retro back to the 1st of January, and there's some discussion about that, but that's when he had to work full time, when we lost the other person. So anyway, that's in front of PPPB right now.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, great. Thanks, Joan. Thanks for catching that. All right, and so Jim, thank you for volunteering, and Susan has volunteered to be the Friends Liaison as well. I think that was a yes I got back.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Jonathan, when will your last day be?
Well, I'd indicated to you, Shannon, not long ago that I thought I'd be willing to stay at least through March to see if we have the membership of the board, resolved, and that we had sufficient members, and then things looked okay. So even if things are resolved in a week, let's say, I'd still be fine staying on through March just for the continuity and
Okay, to the March meeting, basically.
Yeah, through the end of March. So I would I think our meeting, if we stay on the first Wednesday and Friends stay on the first Tuesday, then our meeting would be before theirs. So I would be willing to do that. And I would also go ahead and write the minutes for the March meeting and give Jim a break.
Sorry, Jim, I know
Burst your bubble, but I think there's a change because of the community meeting for the new center.
Yeah, we'll get there when we schedule our next meeting. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, in any event, I'd be glad to do it through March, and just let me know, Janet, if where things seem to be, and we'll go from there.
Want to at this time though write your resignation letter with a date sometime in March or something, so it gets on file and can get through the process.
Yeah. Well, as soon as we have an idea, just let me know as soon as you think that things are going to be okay. Then I will go ahead and do the letter at that time, so that the select board does have it, and I would still indicate the end of March. But let me know how things look, because I don't want to. I think last month we realized that we were kind of a little bit low on numbers because you weren't able to attend, and then Jim had to leave the last few minutes of the meeting, and that hasn't happened in a long time. So we realized that with low numbers to begin with. So I didn't want to put the board even one number less.
And we're not going to ask Cynthia to make a decision at this moment. We'll talk later. Okay, so. All right, great. Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate you staying on a little bit longer. So, and we'll talk, Cynthia, if you are interested. I mean, there's a term that expires. There's a couple partial terms. So Jonathan.
A year from the summer.
Yeah, so a year from June is your last. So you expire June of 24. So you could fill in his slot, and that would just be, instead of 3-year commitment, give you a little bit over a year and kind of get a sense of whether you want to make this your full-time job or not. So,
okay, but what is the technicalities? Do I get voted in or?
Okay, the process is that, so there's a volunteer form we talked about, and
yeah, and I did that.
And a cover letter to go along with it to talk.
And I did that.
Okay.
And it goes to who? Does it go to me or does it go to the town administrator?
I sent it to the town because the town clerk has to validate the fact that I live in the town or I'm a voter in the town.
And if you could send me a copy as the COA board versus Joan going to Joan, so you would send it to me as well. And then we make a recommendation to move you. The select board actually you're appointed by the select board, but it's usually based on a recommendation from the COA board.
See, I thought that the town clerk had to write in that, yes, I did vote in.
Yep.
Southampton, and then
he does initial that. Yes.
She or he would send it on to you, but that would happen.
I can check with Lucy
Okay,
Let me do that, Joan. Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
keep you out of that if you don't mind, give you a little breather. So you did send it to the town clerk?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
like the 2 days after I talked to you in
Okay.
June at that
Okay.
meeting.
All right, I'll check with Lucy, maybe Ed has it already, but I haven't seen it, so.
Okay,
Now,
Could
is
be
there
my-
anything I need to do?
Nope, because
Is it-
your term is up at the end of this year, so
Okay, so that's the end
you
of
just-
June?
you just have to stay with us till the end of June and find your replacement before you leave.
Don't say that.
And Jim and
And
That's not-
Jim's term as well.
In the
So
cards.
our annual meeting where we elect officers and kind of appoint new is in May, even though the term goes through June. So
Mhm.
that'll happen sometime in the first meeting in May. So we'll
Mhm.
talk about that in a while. I'll follow up with Lucy then, Cynthia, because I haven't seen it.
okay.
But sometimes I get her stuff goes to spam. So
Yeah, I just assumed that there was a legal process that had to go through. before
yeah,
you
it'll
got
go
it.
to her and the town, but we should, I wanted everybody to meet you and
Yeah, well, thank you.
we're the easy part. I don't, Okay, so great.
So if I can just clarify, so we have one, at this moment, we have one vacancy, right? And that's the one the position that Nancy
Correct.
held. And that would expire on June 30th, 2025, right?
Correct.
2.5 years from now.
Correct. Yep. So we can vary the term, or we don't have a 3-year opening at the moment, do we? Yes, that's a partial year. So that's the longest one. So we can talk, Cynthia, to see
Okay.
which one you're looking would best fit your introduction to the Council on Aging Board.
Okay,
So thank you for coming today. All right. Follow up on ARPA spending. So Joan is, we've been talking about so the process for hiring an outreach worker, right? So we need a job description. That's first. Then we need the job description approved and scored by the Personnel Policies and Procedures Board. And then we can do a job posting. And then we hire after that. So it's a long process, and I don't know if Jim and Josie would work with Joan on helping to come up with a job description for an outreach worker that fits into the mold of the town of Southampton PPPB. If are either one of you free to do that? If Joan comes up with something to kind of put it in.
I'd be happy to. I know Joe, and
thank you.
no, I'd be happy to. Sure.
I want to mention, just because there's a connection, Kate is going to take the Shine workshop, which is it 4 weeks or go ahead, Kate. She just signed up.
It's about 4 weeks. It's 70 hours of training.
Great.
So starting in late April, they haven't announced the dates yet, but I've already been in touch with the Shine coordinator, and Joan signed off on my paperwork today. So I'll hopefully be starting that at the end of April, and it's 2 days a week, I think, for 4 or 5 weeks. And then there's obviously the like annual Medicare updates in the fall, and like a monthly meeting just to check in. So it's on the list.
So Joan,
Great.
is there a cost associated with that?
There is not. Well,
Okay.
except
Wow.
for her day that she has to be on Zoom meetings, that would normally be her day in the office. So,
I mean, we have money in the state formula to cover it. I mean, I'm not concerned about that. So, and then we have to determine based on, we got some feedback from Easthampton, and we need to get a couple other salary ranges for outreach workers so we can establish. Well, they have done, then actually they score it, right? Based on the job description, the PPPB kind of scores it. So it's critical that the job description is accurate and all-inclusive and whatever is going to be required.
there are area outreach workers in many of the councils. So, yes, I will work. I'll put that at the top of my list.
Joan, would we be able to get the samples
Oh,
of
yes.
those job descriptions?
Yes, we have a couple already, but yes.
Oh, great, good.
And then
Good,
Jim,
good.
you can rip it apart and correct.
That's what I do.
So great. I mean, Josie, I don't know what your schedule's like, so I don't want to put you on the spot. We can talk afterwards. So,
Okay, yeah, it's a little crazy, but.
okay. All right. But between maybe the three of us, or if somebody else wants to also work on the outreach worker job description, Joan is open. Okay, so great. All right, good.
Well, I'd be happy to work kind of with Jim on and bounce things. We're pretty good at bouncing things.
Yeah, I
off.
thought you two. Good.
If
All right,
you, if you let me know when you decide to meet and talk about that, I'll count on me. Just let me know.
Yeah, some of it may be done under email initially, but then eventually we will have to get together.
Yeah. Just as a thing, I think that if we could get some samples
Yeah,
and maybe Josie and I could do a draft, and then we could work off a draft rather than being in a meeting where, ideas are bouncing off the wall and so forth. I think we lose something in that.
Good.
Yeah, that makes sense, Jim.
Good.
I hate to
Thank
say
you.
that, but that makes sense, Jim.
You've made my life, because it's the first time.
Okay, and the other ARPA spending that Jones kind of put on hold the trips until we figure out the outreach worker and how much we're going to need for that. And then even though I'm not sure it's going to fall under ARPA, I asked Sylvia if she could speak a couple of minutes about the capital campaign fundraising organization that Rini spent an hour with a couple weeks ago. You want to?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very brief, really. We met with Lori Herrick, who is the co-founder of Rainmaker Consulting Group. They're based in Holyoke. I've known her for a number of years. And so anyways, the group has 6 members and 9 consultants, and that some of them have their specialty in capital campaigns. So we have access to them. They will be working with us if we decided to go with them. And they only work with nonprofit organizations. So that's great for us. It was an informative introductory conversation, really letting us know what and who we need to have in place to support and create a strategic plan that will move us forward. A week after this conversation, Lori sent us an outline that includes planning and team building. And if we decided to go with this group, the outline will be more detailed and customized to our future needs. Their fee is a percentage of the whole campaign. So it's not, like hourly or anything like that. So once we know how much we want, the way she put it is like, dream what you want and then go sell it. That's basically the plan, and dream big, and then, get the support from the community. So everybody needs to be involved, not only us, but past members, friends, whoever is around to bring us, that can give us not only the support, but that can connect us with folks that are willing to support with money, of course, but in any other way possible. Senor Jim.
Would this be raising funds for the new center, if that's what we're thinking of, but not the day-to-day funding of the current COA?
No,
Great.
It's capital campaign. It's exclusively to build it. And,
Great.
whatever is needed, not only to build it, but whatever is needed inside. So she really gave us a global idea of anything and everything we need. Let's throw it in the pot and then, price it. And then we know what we need and how to go about it.
Do you have examples of other fundraising they've done? Do you know of any? I mean, did they help raise money for buildings? What did they help raise money for?
They have my notes in here. One of the members right now, it's working on, oh, right, she told us.
Library in Amherst, I think.
Yes, yes. It's not the library, is they have work in libraries, and one of them has experience, two of them, Eric and David, experience on working with municipalities, which is us, the bureaucracy and all of that, which we really need somebody with that experience to move us forward. They working with municipalities is slow because it is bureaucratic, but two of her consultants will work with us.
And they've worked with some of these like community grants and development that, I mean, we're seeing places that are building buildings, they get money from federal grants, they get money from, some development corporations or whatever. Is that they would be the people doing it? No.
Not necessarily, no.
It's just
No.
capital campaign. We would
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
would then be responsible for researching grants and so on. So
So
I'd be able to direct us.
right. The way she put it is like, we're going to be the drivers. We're going to be the one that is going to drive this, and they will be there with us and tell us, train us, be with us the whole way. But really, it is our responsibility to do all those connections.
And they would get paid by a percentage of the final goal, target goal that's reached. So
That's reached, not what so if we're able to raise a certain amount of money because of their expertise, that's what they would reach. Like we talked about doing Friends does fundraisers, but a golf tournament or something like that could be separate from what, their ideas. So that total amount, say we raise $3,000, they wouldn't get a percentage of that.
right. I mean, we have Friends that this is not displacing the Friends organization. That's so critical to not only day-to-day, but yes, other mechanisms of raising funds. And they may be involved in collecting some of the funding from this campaign. So those are all things. I mean, we probably will speak to another one or two groups. I mean, this was just a good kind of introduction for us to see. And we haven't even really talked about it at the feasibility committee to any extent at this point in time. So Josie, did you have a question?
Well, my question, and maybe it's answered, but is the fee that we contract or with them, is that based on what our goal is or based on what is achieved?
So we're still working. I mean, we're still so early in the conversation right now, and it may not be this particular organization. So it has been asked. It has not been answered because there's still we've got a ways to go to work all those details out, Josie.
Okay.
So we first have to collect the 2.5 million. If for some reason that collapses, and I don't see that it will, that's a whole different ballgame at that point in time. So, all right. So that's kind of we're just doing some investigative right now. Jonathan?
Yeah, just for the minutes, I just need to clarify. So Sylvia, it was you and Rini, or you and Joan that met with
The three of us.
Rini, myself, and Sylvia.
Not Joan. Rini, Sylvia, and Green.
Janet. Okay,
She was
great.
being an administrative assistant that day, so she didn't have time
Yeah.
to meet with us. Joan?
And then we're talking about ARPA right now, and I realize that this comes under the ARPA, but so if we're paying only out of what we raise,
So I
through
think
a fundraiser, we would not have to pay anything, right? It would come out of resources that we'd be collecting through the campaign.
correct. So it's really, I think I opened up by saying, I know I have it listed under ARPA, but actually it would look like it would be a percentage of what we raise. And I think they're starting to run out of ARPA avenues at this point in time. So.
Okay, so there's it could be ARPA or it's not going to be ARPA.
It's
probably.
TBD at this point. It's to be determined, but I don't think with the 50,000 that we received, I think between the worker, the outreach worker, I don't know that we're going to have, we really want to focus on paying that position for as many years as possible, and maybe some of the trips. So I don't know. It's still to be determined if it's feasible, but to use it out of the ARPA. Rena, you want to add anything to that?
No, I really enjoyed the presentation, and I think that the woman that was there was, it was really, I was very impressed with the company and her.
Hi, puppy.
Yeah, and sorry, my dog's going crazy about something outside.
No, I understand. I hopefully try not to be speaking when that happens. It doesn't always work that way.
All around informative in regard that, at least I have not been in a capital campaign. What we need to put in place is really important in order to get it started. And then, we'll go out. And there's a number of steps that she gave us as to what we need to and with whom. The friends are going to be involved. All of us on the board are going to be involved. Past members of the board, people in the community besides friends, banks, organization, grants, anywhere that we want to dream big.
I think the exciting part is that we're not relying on the taxpayers to have this wonderful new senior center. We're not relying on that. We're going to look for fundraising so that we can start raising that kind of money.
Yeah, we want to minimize the burden. We want our seniors to stay in town. We don't want to raise their taxes to do.
Right.
Or their house values or whatever. So, okay.
She also brought up something like, for the future, okay, you build your dream and the building is there, is furnished, everything. And who's going to take care of it later on, like maintenance? And so she made us think about fundraise also for that in the future.
Yeah, so that would be part of the campaign, would be maybe the couple of the first, if we can cover some of the first couple of years of building maintenance and so on. So again, this is all great input from them.
Yeah.
Good to know, because I know that question comes up. Thanks, Sylvia, and thanks for arranging that. I appreciate that.
Oh, no
so
problem.
Let me give you, I'll try to do a detailed, thorough, but short update from the feasibility committee. So back on December 29th, Abacus, who's the architect and planner that we're using, met with individually with the three landowners to get a better understanding of any concerns the landowners might have regarding positioning of a building, location on their property, any needs that they might have that we weren't aware of, any water issues, any septic issues, any questions or any feedback that they could provide to our Abacus. And I do believe that they were, it was extremely helpful for them to have that kind of face-to-face time. So in January, Abacus presented a new matrix to us that we would use to rate the properties to help quantitatively determine what are our final top three locations, and then we'll narrow it down from the top three locations. The committee will be reviewing the criteria they're suggesting for scoring. We haven't, I think it was in the document that I sent you today. We haven't had a discussion about the criteria, and if we all agree on those criteria for scoring, so that'll probably happen at our next meeting on the 9th, but we've asked them as part of our RFQ to help us to quantify the pluses and minuses for the properties that we're taking a look at this point in time. So, and again, the current properties are Zero College Highway, which is the property across from Parker and O'Grady that's owned by the LeBreeze, 89 Clark Street, which is owned by Ryan Gielaher, 79, which is part of Marmon Keystone land, and the fire station, part of 210 College Highway. Abacus has also reached out to Langen, which is a civil engineer firm, and they did a study and did in-depth research on those properties and provided good feedback, again, for that quantitative side of the study. So that was all part of our, original RFQ. So, so on March 1st, we will have a public in-person session, March 1st, Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month, at 7:00 at Norris School. It's open to all Southampton residents and really current Southampton COA users. We're currently working on an outline on how, kind of like a storyboard and how do we want to tell our story to the public. It will be recorded. We asked Easthampton or eMedia about a hybrid meeting, and basically they said that because of the relatively low bandwidth of internet connection at Norris School, it's probably not going to be possible to do a hybrid meeting, but it will be available for viewing, and hopefully will be broadcast live as well. So our goal is, again, to tell the story as how this started, the progress we've taken, talk about how we're going to fundraise towards the end, how we're going to try to work on a capital campaign, how we're going to look into grants to also build from that $2.5 million to really support a new senior center. So we'll be working probably down the road with, Congressman Neal, Senator Vilas, our Representative Pease, in addition to about grant opportunities and interviewing fundraising organizations, as Sylvia mentioned, in managing a capital campaign. So again, that meeting is March 1st at 7:00. Please come and join us. Our next,
should we invite any of those representative? And I think
I probably will.
Yeah.
That's probably, they'll be, hopefully we'll get them there. Maybe Lindsay, just for good measure, in case we get recarved back. So then our next meeting is February 9th on Zoom, and we're meeting with the members of the Public Safety Building Committee and Abacus. The two groups are basically looking at the same 4 properties. So we want to work collectively. They kind of understand, because we're further along than they are, what we've discovered to date. They have the advantage of us doing some good research in Abacus and Langen, the engineering company. So I think and I know Reni's a member of the Public Safety Building Committee as well, and I'll let her speak to that too. But we want to kind of give each other a progress report up to date at this point in time, come February 9th, which is next Thursday. Reni, do you have anything you want to add, or Joan?
Yeah, the Public Safety Building Committee has been having a sort of a parallel process, but has had a couple of setbacks. So unfortunately, they're falling further behind the senior center. So initially, they sent out an RFQ for a firm to look into doing a feasibility study for the public safety complex. And we didn't get, even though there were like at least 18 firms that had sent back interest and questions, none of them ended up submitting a proposal. So we looked at why, and basically determined that there were a number of things, that there was too stringent criteria and a few other things that we changed. And then it was sent back out again, and again, no responses. So the select board last night approved another update to the RFQ, and the big, we were nice enough to be able to have a firm contact Ed and discuss why they didn't submit a proposal. And basically, it was because of the price tag. So now we're going to send it back out. We made some additional changes to reduce the workload of the feasibility study, but also to have it go out for bids. So we'll hope that we get some proposals back this time around. The same 4 parcels are under consideration for public safety. That's why we wanted to put our heads together and have a meeting on the 9th. And so that's kind of where that stands. There's a new chair of the Public Safety Committee, Mark Darnold. Previous chair moved out of town. So anyway, we're still optimistic, but it's just been a little bit, a few setbacks.
Yeah, I think you're asking for a lot more in-depth information for the public safety than we are required to have for the study based on the estate of Mr. Parsons. So that's kind of the differences in pricing that you're running into, yeah. I guess, right?
Well, we didn't anticipate that there was so much more involved in public safety. I mean, for $60,000, we're doing the feasibility study for the senior center, and we're being told, the person that wrote back and said that what's being asked is closer to $200,000 in terms of, so, you know, like, so we cut down the requirements of the study and then said that it would be based on a bidding process as opposed to a set dollar amount. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get more firms interested, but again, it's just a setback.
Yeah. Okay.
That's an incredible amount. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really big sticker shock. But, you know, one of the things they asked, for example, is what will be the maintenance cost of a new center and project out for 20 years. So, I mean, that's very difficult to do. I mean, I'm just, you know, the expertise of the committee is, you know, builders and, you know, people that know this information. And so anyway, we basically just asked for the first year maintenance cost. So we cut down a lot of the things. We cut down from 5 properties to 4. We clarified it's only a digital model, not a physical model that we're looking for. So we hope it's not going to come out to 200,000. Hopefully we can get it down, but it's definitely going to be more than 75. But we got $50,000 of ARPA money plus we got $50,000 from the state. Representative Pease in the last budget had secured some funds for the public safety feasibility study, and then ARPA funds from the town added another 75. So we do have $125,000 towards this study. And I did mention to the select board last night that based on the bid and based on the quality of the responses, there may be a request for additional funds to close the gap. So that's where we stand.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Rini. Any questions from the group on the feasibility committee at this point in time? Jonathan?
Yeah, so Janet, what is, let's say that everything goes as hoped and as expected, and we get $2.5 million from Red Parsons Estate in May. How long is it anticipated, ballpark figure or range of, is it expected that it would take to raise the additional amounts, whatever we would need to build the center?
Yeah, an answer to that, Jonathan. I'm not going to throw out just a number. I don't, you know, between capital campaigns and we'd have to go to town meeting to acquire the property that we decided upon unless we use the fire station. So there's steps, you know, it's town government and it will take some time. So,
you know, my concern is, and I assume this is being factored into it, that the longer it takes to raise the funds, the more likely and the greater amount by which the price of a new senior center would increase, as we've seen in other jurisdictions, not just for senior centers, but libraries and schools just in the last year, 6 months to a year, as much as 25% increase in a matter of months. And so I'm just wondering whether hopefully that would be factored in and that people would have an idea about that. So we're realistic about what we might need to raise eventually over, you know, the longer it takes, then the more it could take to do. And there may have to be some design changes that will cost money as well, based on what we find out over the next, you know, few years.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Yep.
It's definitely a process. I mean, we just had one of our seniors move into senior housing in Sunderland. They had 33 units and it took 6 years to do 33 units for an apartment. And I know it's a whole different ballgame, but it will take time and the numbers will change. The places may change, but I believe it'll happen. It just, you know, how it will happen. I have some other ideas, but our meeting's running late, so we're not going to talk about it today, but maybe at the feasibility meeting, I'll throw out a couple other ideas.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, so the Friends didn't meet yet, right? That's next week?
Yes, they did meet though after our last meeting in
Okay.
January.
Okay.
They had both a monthly meeting and an annual meeting. The annual meeting immediately followed the monthly. They filled the position, the vacant position or the open position for director at large, with an active member. But for director and vice, not director, but a chair and vice chair, those positions are, they need not, there's no one that has come forward yet. And they decided to wait another rather than to go ahead and elect it at the annual meeting, to do it at the monthly meeting this month. So those two positions hopefully will be filled at the meeting, and replacements, not replacements, but new people for those positions will be voted in on their meeting next Tuesday, February 7th. That's the monthly meeting. Also, there was some talk about, and it was just in the discussion phase, about the possibility and whether it even made sense to purchase reflective vests for seniors to wear when walking. That maybe the funds could come either from their friends or from ARPA. So that was going to be looked into. Some questions are being asked and seeing whether that is feasible and how to proceed.
Okay.
And that's the Friends.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So you are going to go next week. And if Susan, if you decide you want to go to kind of transition, that's up to you. I'll let you make that call.
That's fine. However you want to do that, Susan, or
You both should come. We need the numbers.
Sorry, Jonathan, and I'm happy to attend whenever that works. Would you be attending in March too? I'm a little bit unclear.
I was just going to continue to do everything through March, but if you want to attend in March, and I assume it's going to be on, I don't know for sure, that I assume Joe may have an idea. I assume it's going to be on March 7th.
Yeah.
That meeting. If you want to do that instead, that's fine with me, and I can announce it next week that
Great. Okay.
you will be replacing me. Do you want to do that? Otherwise,
so let's get on March 7th. I'll start in, join you then, and then you can.
Okay, so we'll both be at the meeting. Good. I'll introduce you. And
okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Anything else that cannot wait till our next meeting, other than dinner? Okay, scheduling of our next meeting. So because our big public meeting is the 1st, I'm going to recommend that we move our March meeting to March 8th. How are people with that? Does that work for folks? Anybody having conflict?
I will not be in town, but I'm not a voting member, so I'll catch up with you.
Okay, thanks.
That's fine by me.
Okay. So 4:00, March 8th, and we'll have a Friends report. An updated Friends report from the 7th.
But I hope
Yes.
everybody comes on the 1st who's able to, because it would be great to have you all there to support this
Yeah,
at Norris School. Yeah.
hopefully everybody will be there, be able to come. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I thought maybe you didn't want to adjourn. Is that Jim? So moving? Do we have a second?
I second.
Jonathan. Okay, quick roll call. Josie.
Here, yes.
Okay.
Whatever.
Jim.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Sylvia. I need a vote one, Sylvia. I need a voice.
Oh,
Sorry. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Janet, yes. All right. We are no longer.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.